This review has been made possible by Toyota of Naperville. As you know, Toyota has tons of brand new Toyotas available for purchase. But did you know that they also have a remarkable selection of used cars? Head on over to toyotaofnaperville.com and look through hundreds of used cars for sale right now. Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2019 Acura MDX. Up front is a 3.5 liter V6. Down below is a 9-speed automatic transmission. This video is sponsored by CarMarshal.com. If you'd like to support the channel, click the link down in the description below. CarMarshal.com advertises for over 100,000 vehicles across the US. But let's get back to that 3.5 liter V6. Well, this engine has been used in so many Hondas as of recently. I drove a 2019 Honda Passport with the same engine. I mean, the Pilot uses the same engine. Their Ridgeline uses the same engine. It's a very, very common engine, and so it's a very work-through engine, and it's a solid engine. It's no new territory. It's no new ground. You're not going to have weird cylinder issues, 5 years down the road because there wasn't enough research done. Honda has done their research, and this engine's all right. It's definitely all right. All right, so sport mode, 3.5 liter, 9-speed auto. Wow, it really has top end power. That V6 really grabs you at the top end. That was really interesting. It almost felt like a lag. Maybe it was a little bit of traction control. Maybe it was trying to get its grip, something like that. But whatever that was, once it got into the power band, it went. You guys heard it. That was good. Paired to it is a 9-speed automatic transmission, and I actually really like it. You don't even feel it shift. It's very smooth, very quiet. It's obviously not a very sporty transmission, but we're in an Acura MDX, so sport is not really the main course. And last but not least, the MDX is all-wheel drive. So let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have two actual physical gauges that I really like. On the left is my tachometer, on the right is my speedometer with fuel to the far right and my coolant temperature on the far left. In the center, I do get a little screen. I could switch the info. Right now I'm looking at my range, but I can look at my warning lights, range, fuel economy, just a blank screen, vehicle settings, tire pressure, oil life, actually a compass, which is interesting, where the power is being sent, so dynamic mode, my average speed A, my elapsed time A, and so those, of course, could both be switched to B, and then we're back to my range. I really like the gauge cluster. I think it's clean. I think it's simple, and it's decently modern. I think in the next couple of years, 2021, 2022, Acura is going to want to switch over to a digital gauge cluster just because it's what most other people have done. But for right now, here in 2019, they're not at the very back of the pack with their gauge cluster, and I like that a lot. On the steering wheel on the left, I have my volume and phone controls, and on the right, I have my cruise control, as well as my adjustment for that center gauge cluster screen that we just talked about. And I have my settings for radar cruise control. So I do have lane keep assist, as well as my radar cruise control. I could set my following distance here. To the left, I have a couple of interesting buttons. I do have my brake hold button, which I've never seen the brake hold all the way over to the left here, but that is where you find it here on the MDX. My parking sensors, lane keep warning, collision avoidance, all of my warnings and stuff can be turned on or off over to the left here of the driver. Then on the door, I have my 2 memory seat settings, my window switches, power mirrors, lock and unlock, stuff like that. In the center, I actually have 2 screens. So up top is actually my navigation screen. So right now I'm looking at actually a whole map of actually the whole United States, which is pretty interesting. It shows a little dot where we are just outside Chicago, but it's really interesting. And it has a disclaimer, not on a digitized road. So it's telling me I'm not on a digitized road right now. It's of course because I'm on the test track. But down below that screen, we have our infotainment screen. So this is for my climate controls, my audio, stuff like that. I actually really like the fact that it has 2 separate screens, so you don't have to either pick your song or know where you're going. That's actually really smart thinking by Honda and Acura. And the nice thing is that I do have controls for the air conditioning in the screen. I can tap whatever I want, but also I do have physical controls down below that. So we do have fan on and off, auto, front and rear and mirror defrost, dual climate zone, so the passenger can decide on a secondary or different temperature. And then we have actual physical controls for the screen. So we have navigation, phone info, smartphone settings, and back, and then my little dial. So I could change the stuff on the navigation screen, go down, up, whatever I need to do. You could probably hear it beeping in the background as I play with it. And that's really, really nice. I like the tactile buttons. I think they work really well. I think it's decently easy to sort of just use and forget, which I think is good. I don't like fumbling around trying to figure out how to work the infotainment system. I just like it working, quite frankly, and I really, really like that, and I think it works well. Down on the center console, we do have a little cubby hole, I guess a little ashtray with a power outlet, 2 cup holders, and then the shifter. Now, the shifter is sort of weird. This is Honda's new style shifter, and when I first started reviewing cars, I wrote a huge, long paragraph rant about how stupid and dumb these shifters are. I absolutely hated these shifters. But that was years ago, and now I actually like them. You know why? Because they're sort of sane in this world of crazy, crazy automotive shifters. There are some shifters that are absolutely horrible. There are shifters that are way worse than this. And so this doesn't look so bad anymore. This is good. I actually like this compared to the new crap that some other auto manufacturers are making. But speaking of the shifter, we have some interesting things on here. We do have dynamic modes. So we have 3 different drive modes. We have normal, sport, and comfort, which can all be toggled down here on the shifter. Then I have one of my favorite buttons in new cars, which is the automatic start-stop off switch. So this car, when you pull up to a stoplight, will turn off to preserve fuel and to cut down on emissions. You can turn that off. So if you're uncomfortable by that, like I am, no fear, you could turn it off here in the Acura. Then we have a giant center console. You could shove literally anything you want in there. Really, it could almost act as a baby seat. Not that I recommend it, but it probably could work. And then we get to the seats. Seats are perforated leather. I really like them. They are power. They are heated as well, which I can actually turn on auto heated seats, which is pretty nice. And they definitely are comfortable. But speaking of that, we actually have 2 rows of seating. So let's do some back seat reviews. All right, so we're in the back of the 2019 Acura MDX, and I do have my own climate controls down below, fan controls, stuff like that, really, really nice, and then 2 2.5 amp outlets, which are just USBs, so I could just plug any USB charger into them. I really, really like that. I have my power windows. The wood trim carries on to the doors back here. Then I have 2 cup holders on the center console, nothing too crazy, but then I do have a 3rd row. So on the side of this seat, there's actually a button to flip up this row of seating to easily get in the back. So let's go hop back there. All right, so I forgot to close that door. I apologize for the weird light, but obviously we're back here. This feels like a giant wall in front of me. My knees are hitting it, not very comfortable for an adult, but if you did have little kids, it wouldn't be the end of the world. They can tough it out back here. I do have 2 cup holders. I have these touch lights up here and speakers to my left and right. Besides that, it's not a great back seat. It's going to be less comfortable for really anyone, less comfortable than a minivan. But that being said, if you're not going to use it all the time, say if you just have 2 kids and sometimes they bring their friends, you know, this is something that would be manageable. If you do have 5 or 6 kids, I really would look at a minivan. I would really look at a minivan because this is not going to be super comfortable and it's not going to be super accessible. I do have that though, which kind of makes me feel like a magician. Ready? So there's a button on the front seat. Overall, I really like the interior. There's this wood grain that's on the doors and on the front up above the glove box. I really like the interior. I think it definitely feels classy. It definitely feels classier than Honda's. So if you don't know, Acura is really just up-badged Honda. It's the same company underneath. But this doesn't feel like a base model Honda. It doesn't feel like they just put some nice accents onto a Honda Pilot. It actually genuinely feels like its own vehicle. And I really, really like that for sure. Let's talk about the looks. I like the looks of the MDX a lot, especially the front end. I think the headlights work really well. I think the grille works really, really well. And overall, I think it's just a really, really clean looking SUV. The reason I wanted to review one of these is because the SUV segment is so big these days. Everyone has their hat in the ring for making a SUV. Even Lamborghini has gotten in on it. Jaguar is in on it. You know, Aston Martin is planning an SUV. Like, everyone and their mom is making an SUV at this point, and so I wanted to check out Acura's stab at it, and I think that they do a great job with styling. The styling of this car, this SUV more, is just, I really do think it's on par, if not better than a lot of the competition. And overall, I have to say, I actually am really decently surprised here with the MDX. I think it drives great. I think it looks great. And honestly, Honda does it again. I mean, really, Honda has not struck out in quite some time. I really like the MDX. I do. I think it's actually a really nice car. And I don't think that the Acura brand name has the stigma of other brand names. I think some luxury brands have a sort of stigma about them. They do. I mean, you know, it's just some brands have that. And I really feel like Acura doesn't. I don't feel like a posh jerk who, you know, orders people to do stuff in this thing. I just feel like it's just a nicer version of what I already had. It's just a nicer version of Honda. It feels more well-deserved rather than given. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Toyota of Naperville for letting me drive their used Acura MDX. I'm really glad I get to sample a couple other cars from other auto manufacturers through Toyota. They are absolutely awesome. They have hundreds of used cars on the lot at all times, ranging from everything. I mean, literally, the next car I'm about to drive is a Jaguar. So they literally have everything on the lot, and I really appreciate them helping me out with these videos. So check out Toyota of Naperville. Their information is up on the screen. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys. There goes a sight from my soul.